this. Anyone has gone through these notes? Please be interactive, because if you interact with me and you will understand better, I can also explain you certain thing the way that you want it. Otherwise, it's like a parrot that I will be just talking, but you might pick up a few points and you might drop rest of the points. Doesn't add any value to you. So feel free to open your mouth. You have the freedom to switch on your mic, camera, and speak out. All right. Today I'm going to continue with where I stopped during last session, just to recap, plus to help you prepare the answers. Because I want to test not what I taught in the class or what is there in my notes, but how you understood. If you were in the class and if you are focusing on what I am explaining it, and if you are asking question to clarify certain things, that means you will be able to answer or give a better answer than what I had prepared. That's what I expect from you all. All right. So last week I have stopped with this customer 360, the approach to get the 360 guide for B2B. The example that I took it, this is where we have stopped it. Now here, what we try to do, when we start a discussion about how we build this customer experience journey, please remember the term that I am using is really important. If you try to relate those with those terms that I'm using, you should be able to understand it better and you should be able to answer those questions as well. When you start your customer experience journey, or when you discuss about customer experience journey, then you have to define the cross-functional business goals with your C-level, C-suite leadership. Why do you define the goals with C-suite leadership? Because the initiative, there should be buy-in from the leadership to support this operation. There should be someone who should be driving this initiative. That's really important for any transformative effort to be successful. So you got to define the transformation, digital transformation and customer experience vision. And you have to ensure that vision is aligned with your business goal that's provided by the leadership, company leadership. Now, there can't be a situation where you have your leadership have a business goal. We want to launch this product. We want to enable 24/7 support. We want to enable our customers to buy any items 24/7. But if your environment is not ready, that means you are allowing the customer or opening up a couple of showrooms and you are setting up the showroom and you are expecting the customers to visit there. For example, Arpico or Food Keels or the Cargills or whatever, and I'm taking the local examples here, they have decided, the management has decided, okay, now we used to get more customers because they should be able to do the shopping in their convenience time. So therefore, we should allow them to purchase the item anytime. There are certain locations we should be able to provide 24/7 service. That is the business decision. But how are you going to deliver this? You need people. You need to keep the store open and all that. And can you manage with your existing infrastructure, existing staff? This is the question that you should be asking yourself. If you are being appointed as a consultant, to come up with a plan. How do you enable 24/7 customer experience journey with our organization? Then how do you come up with this model? Right? So this is your vision. The business, the leadership is coming up with the vision where the business goal that should align with your IT vision, or your, or in other words, your digital transformation and customer experience vision that will ensure and support the vision of the business goals. So usually the business goal vision is provided by the leadership. So there has to be a synchronization, right? So please remember, every single point I'm explaining today is really, really important. Now, then what you should be doing, you should be assessing your needs. Now you got to identify which platform is capable, or the capabilities are aligned with the company's customer experience vision. Now, for each capabilities, you got to assess the maturity of the company and the responsible domain specific teams. Now you have decided, okay, now let's open up a branch where you can run 24/7. Now you got to look at the capabilities. How are you going to do that? What is the best way to do it? Can you let another team to be there 24/7? That means you should have 3 shifts, right? Your employee salary and your electricity and everything else is going to be doubled. As a result, how much you are going to gain as a revenue? If you open up 24/7, sometime it will become success, sometime it will become fail. Sometime you will get only 3 or 4 customers coming in during night time. Majority of the customers are almost winded up. Some of them are coming at 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, and early morning, maybe around 5:30, 6 o'clock or whatever. And very rarely some people come during night time. Suddenly there is a crowd coming in. How can you manage this? This is where you got to understand your capabilities and the maturity of your company and responsible domain specific team. Now you got to bring in, now here the idea is to, rather you make your team available, you have a platform which can run 24/7. And you simply bring in the e-commerce platform. How do? You make your all products catalog visible in your e-commerce platform. Then you allow customers to choose what item they wanted to choose. Then you allow customers to make the payment. Then you allow customers to pick up the delivery option, whether it's the customer will come and pick up or deliver to their doorstep. So then what will happen? There you can put a very small numbers team where if there is a 24/7 delivery to be required, if you are providing that, yes, you can put a couple of people to stay there and deliver those goods or whatever. If not, you can place the order the next day morning when they come in, they get the item, there you go, you deliver to their doorstep. So as long as customer is concerned, if they are happy, they wanted to purchase some items, maybe some items they wanted to purchase urgently, that's fine. But if this option is available, then I don't need to explain you understand the use case, right? This is the common use case and the example for this e-commerce. So you make those systems. Then again, the next question is, do you have the capability in your organization? Do you have the right set of people to run this operation? And do you have that domain expert within your organization? How are you going to get those things? So this is This is something that you've got to plan it. So this is where you hired a consultant. You as a consultant, you're going to assess those. And you come up with the investment and maturity properties for customer experiences that comprise of company vision, and you leverage the industry blueprint reference, like whatever the architectures which is available. Now here we are taking the example of customer 360-degree guide. So that will help you plan your customer experience journey. Through that, you can easily build your full customer experience journey. Now you got to map your goals. Now you got to align a customer specific experience vision with B2B domain business scenarios. Now here in this example, I took B2B. Now, but the example that I took, the retail, it is B2C. B2C is business to customer, right? Then you can have a these scenarios. It can be backed by the Salesforce experts and partners, and that you can get the right set of people to come and do that. You can explore the scenarios to deep dive into the collection of all sort of understanding and crawl and walk, and then you can run the solution available, because you can't immediately say that we are going to implement it. Next day we are going to make the 100% performance. No, it's not going to work like that. It's a journey. You got to go through certain processes and that cycles to settle and become familiar, and then you know that leverage the system to use the full potential. So you got to identify the KPIs that align with the business scenarios and solutions. That's really important. Why? For anything, you should be able to measure what I'm going to achieve. And what is the KPI? KPI is key performance indicators, right? One example could be, now you wanted to serve more customers. Why? You want to increase your sales. So by bringing in this 24/7 operation, what is the sales growth for you? Is it 25%, 10%, 50%? Actually speaking, in general scenario, the ultimate goal of this digital transformation is to become an exponential organization. That means you should have at least 30% growth advantage with compared to your peers, your competitors. That is the ultimate goal. So year on year, you make 30% growth. So where you make the growth, you should be able to measure that. So you got to identify the KPI. What is your key performance indicators? And you got to align to the business scenarios and the solutions that you are bringing in. You got to determine what dependencies exist between prioritized solutions and what customer identification dependencies across entire solution. That those things you got to identify. Then finally, you deliver the solution. So you got to identify the solutions that best align with the company's customer experience vision. And you can begin the implementation of planning, leveraging, and all whatever you can. So, that this we are talking about Salesforce automation. So you can begin that. So you can review this solution and you can determine what sequence so the component should be implemented first, and focusing on customer identification dependencies to deliver the solution that establish a foundation for future experience while you are delivering the value to the least amount implementation and time for this one. Now, let's look at the how will organization use this model. You have to look at where should I start with the digital transformation journey. Now, you got to see certain success stories to see how others have succeeded with similar approach, as well as throughout the leadership and change management ideas. So before you choose any approach, you got to read a lot of, you got to do a lot of homework in terms of similars, case studies, success stories, local example, overseas example, how fully matured organization. Now, if you're looking at retail, got to look at how Walmart has evolved, how Amazon has evolved, right? How local companies have evolved, how Flipkart has evolved. So you got to look at all these scenarios before you take the decision, so that you have a bigger picture on how other organizations, how successful organizations have transformed. You got to also look at some of the failures, because it is important for you to understand what all are the matters which can pull you down, or which will reason why this transformation journey is failing. Then you got to look at the how technology can help achieve this goal. You got to guide the customers to their digital transformation goal through the industry blueprints and reference architectures and all that, because you can't be just go ahead and that start somewhere and go here and there. You got to have some blueprint with you as guide, right? Then you got to identify what is the core business function that the organizations are required. So the key business scenarios that can help organization to understand the type of solutions, capabilities, and approach in achieving their business goal. Now here it's talking about some of the best use cases that I told you to have a look at. So I'm not going to spend much time on these use cases, but I'll let you that read and understand. I'll focus on the areas where you need more focus, but these things you need to read and understand how this Capricorn Coffee has made their transformation journey. So they have some equipment manufacturing and accessories, and they're making this one for the coffee bean and coffee accessories. So this is typical scenario for the manufacturing. But the question can be similar or slightly different, but it will help you understand, build that concept around how do you build your knowledge. So any questions so far? Any questions, in doubt? I know you won't speak. Am I talking Greek?
No, sir, all clear.
No, sir, all clear.
Clear. Okay. All right. Good. Thanks. So I'll not spend much time here. Please spend some time to read and understand this, because I have gone through many case studies to come up with this. These are some of the internal documents which can help you understand. It's nicely drafted journey. So this is going as a discussion to take you through this whole journey of how Alexa was trying to build a transformation solution to this Capricorn Coffee, and what is the approach that she has taken and how she has conducted. So you would probably be asked to do similar sort of role, play a similar role, and put yourself into the Alexa's socks. Now you got to build your story. Okay, if question comes in for banking operation, how I'm going to do it? If the question comes in for telecom operation, how I'm going to do it? Or if it is a manufacturing, how I'm going to do it? or retail operation, how I'm going to do it. So you got to think on that line and got to prepare the answer. You don't need to look at anything completely outside. Just put yourself into the position of Alexa and read it and understand it and try to make a similar story for different use case. Then you will be able to answer without any problem. All right. So here, Alexa is trying to introduce herself first. Okay, fine. Then she asked the leadership to explain the digital transformation goal, because you need to understand their goal. And she tried to listen the keywords and describing their reimagined customer experiences. And she raised the topic key performance indicators and works with the team to identify the KPIs that can be used to measure the success and progress. Any project, you should be able to measure the success and see the progress based on the milestones and KPIs. Without that, there's no way that you can know that proof that you are progressing, right? After meeting with the leaders, she's coming to meet the IT team, right? And their perspective priorities and company's digital transformation efforts. And she looked for alignment between the technology and business leadership team, right? If there's no alignment exists, she knows it is her responsibility to facilitate a discussion across team to create alignment. Which two teams that she should arrange a discussion? What are the two teams that she should arrange a discussion? What are the two teams that she should arrange a discussion?
The leaders and the IT team,
IT team and?
the leaders or the managers that are
Yeah, business and IT, right? Because there has to be an alignment between IT and business. Otherwise, whatever effort that you're going to make it, it's going to, there has to be a support from business. Business actually, the IT is driven by leadership. It has to be driven by the leadership. Most of the organization, the head of IT or the IT manager, they keep IT manager or the head of IT under the finance, head of finance. Then what will happen is IT is being looked at as rupees and cents. You're always coming up with this CR, you're always coming up with these new bills and all that. We don't get anything out of it. This is what the CFO going to say. Because management has still not realized for them to become success, IT and business has to be aligned. So if you put the IT under the CFO, then what will happen? You know that he start looking at IT as a cost center. Plus, he look at IT investment in rupees and cents. They won't be able to see the full potential. Right? This is why now the new positions are coming, like Chief Information Officer, Chief Digital Officer. Because you can't, I mean, these Chief Information Officer, Chief Digital Officer, they sit in the board. They're directly reporting to the CEO or the chairman. So then they can drive that discussion. Now the problem is most of the organization, the leadership is not driving the IT operation, right? So therefore, you got to have that alignment. So Alexa captures the goal and their customer target, and then she confirmed the technology team is aligned with these goals, and the KPI that identified during discussions are viable to measure the success and the progress. So you got to identify. Now this Diana is supporting her customers in the Capricorn Coffee in transforming their e-commerce site in the digital shopping and experience for their customers. And Diana uses e-business strategies to transform Capricorn Coffee. Advise her on next step along the way. So map the business goals, make certain that the goals identified in the customer leadership uh, meetings are achieved and measurable. So got to make sure that is aligned. Now, how do you build your e-business strategy for your organization? In this one, you should focus on ensuring the company's vision and can be anchored to experience that generate business value. And this experience must either generate revenue or improve efficiency and use KPI to measure those improvements. Please remember, any IT investment or transformative initiative, either it should increase your revenue, or it should increase your customer base, or it should enable you to reach out to more people. That means you are increasing your customer base, and it should enable you to it should allow you to enable more channels to interact with your customers, and it should improve the efficiencies, and you should have the KPIs to measure those improvements. But today's context, most of the IT investment will end up with process improvements, but other improvements, if you look at as a result of process improvement, you will have 10% loss reduction, or you would have your profit margin would have gone up by 7%, 10%, something like that. That's not the real achievement. Why? Because you would have spent millions of dollars, but as a return, you have increased your profit margin by, let's say, $100,000, but you have spent millions of dollars. For you to even do the break even for whatever the investment that you made, you had to wait for 10 years. So by that time, the technology would have been changed twice. So just at that upgrade or migration cost, at that time it would have been $20 million. So before you reach your $10 million, your IT investment cost would have reached another $20 million. So you'd never be able to prove the ROI, return on investment. So therefore, just increasing 7%, 10%, I don't think that's a right strategy that they have taken. It has to be significant. The goal here is to not to directly interview the executives, but ask the question and facilitate the conversation among leaders about their collective vision for e-business strategy. And your goal should be aligned the leaders on common vision that place their customers at the center of the business. Any decision that you make, any changes that you make, any system that you try to implement, your customer should be at the center. If you try to make some changes where there's no relevance to the customer, then it's going to be, that really, really challenging for you to show the KPIs and measure the outcome or the ROI part of it. Somehow you have to align your strategy, your investment by keeping customer at the center. So you got to identify the KPI that measure the success and the growth, and you will use this question to build share point of views of business goals and what action will take the real goals and all that. So now the question to begin the discovery process, right? Use this question as a starting point for the discussion with your customers, leadership regarding e-business vision. So you can ask that, describe your customer journey as it exists today. What journey element work well? What elements limit the business value generated by the experience? So if you can get the answers to these two questions, that will help you align the customer's e-business vision. First part, the customer journey. So building customer experience journey is really, really important. You got to understand what all are the elements that work, right? And what are the limits, limit the business value generated by this experience. And what are the business goals for each line of business, and how do these goals map to the customer experience as it exists today? So the organization should have those information readily available. So do any line of business goal conflict across the team? If so, what are those conflicts rooted in, and can these teams align and compromise? You will see there are, in the business process, there can be duplicates of efforts. Where, for example, now one approver is supposed to review certain thing, but there would have been another person also doing the same thing. Or, for example, there when you take the procurement process, it has to be initiated from the end user department for sure. Then it will go through the finance approval. Before it goes to the finance, it would have been goes through the various other administration department or whatever. Then go to the finance and go to the procurement. And every department, if they start scrutinizing the same process they are doing it, then what will happen? There will be duplicates of effort, time waste, a lot of energy would have been waste on that. You got to see how you can talk to each parties and come to the conclusion how they can compromise certain areas to work together. So those are the areas that you got to look at, because when you plan for the transformation journey, these are common issues, right? You got to, how do you define your business goal? So when we meet with the company, business and technology leaders, you got to drive the conversation to create a unified vision for business. And you got to identify the customer touch points that require investment. Because e-business is what? It's all you are going to do, enable the customer to interact with your organization digitally, right? So then you got to identify what all are the touch points that customer is going to have with you, and what is the investment required. For example, now customer might call and make the order. Customer might join your website and place the order. Customer might use your mobile app to place the order. Or customer might walk into one of your stores and use one of the kiosk machine to enter the details and pay through that itself. Or they come and place the order in the counter itself. There are many ways that customer can interact. right? If you look at banking, all these are possible. Retail, some of them are possible, some of them are not. So it depends on the business environment. Then you got to define your e-business goal. What are you going to achieve? Then you got to identify the KPIs that will measure the success. You got to align leaders on a unified vision for the customer experience. And you got to align the goals with partner ecosystems and the expectations. Now, this vision should place customer at the center of the company's business, and this vision should be anchored in developing single source of truth representing customer profiles and engagement data. What will happen? One customer is purchasing some item online and he's coming. So at that time, you are capturing all the information: your name, first name, last name, email address, telephone number, date of birth, your spouse name, your home address, and then what else? Your birthday, your wedding anniversary, all details, they are capturing it and all that. So tomorrow you are logging into the same portal, want to order something, again they are capturing all the information. Or today you are logging through the mobile app. Tomorrow you have decided, okay, I'll just use my computer to order. When you go through the computer, then again you have to enter all the details. Then you think, what nonsense is this? You disconnect. Or you go ahead and get it anyway. I want to get this item. You give it. Now 2 weeks later, you are calling their number because you couldn't find these items and all that. Then you want to call this hotline, and they are picking up. Okay, fine. Yes, we have the item. Sorry, that item is still not published on the e-commerce platform. Okay, can I buy that item? Yes, you can. Can I know your first name, last name, telephone number, email address, blah, 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 blah. Will the customer is going to be happy? Say, what nonsense you are talking that I gave 2 times already. I have mobile app. I registered through mobile app. Then again, when I go through the website, again I have to give it. Now I'm calling, again I have to give it. No, sorry, sir, that there is no such name here. That's why I'm asking. Okay, fine, go ahead and get it done. Okay, third time he did that. Now, fourth time, maybe he's just walking into the, while he's going somewhere, just walking into the store, and he's trying to buy some items. Sir, there is a promotion. If you are a loyal member, can I get your name detail? Then you are giving your number. Again, they're asking, sorry, sir, I need to register yourself to give you this offer. His customer is going to be happy? Or he's going to say, oh, no problem, you keep your promotion. I don't care. I can't give you my details fourth time also. This is what's going to happen. So you got to have a single source of truth representing a customer profile. So if you are connecting through the website and you are trying to make some orders, something goes wrong, you are decided, okay, I'll call the call center. The moment you call, they are saying, hello, Mr. XYZ. Then this guy is shocked. Why? I didn't give any details. I was just trying to order, but I couldn't do it. But that's enough. The moment you click on their link, they would have captured all your details. Why? Your computer, it stores a browser, it stores all the informations. Let's say if you're logged into your Gmail or Facebook or any social profile, you would have given your detail for sure. And that cookies, it can store that information and they can capture those information, and they should be able to, create your database. When you call, Yes, sir. So you are trying to place the order. Can I continue? Then say, oh, what? How do you know that I was trying to? Yes, sir. In my system, it shows that you are existing customer. You are trying to access through a website to place some orders. It's halfway. It is got cancelled. Can I continue? Yes, please go ahead. And 1 minute, order is placed. So you will receive a message to your phone. Click on the link. You can make the payment, and the item will be delivered to your doorstep within another half an hour. Just imagine. This is the level of customer experience that you are going to build. It can be bank, it can be telcos, it can be retails. Most use cases goes into retail for sure. Anywhere, you should be able to have this sort of intelligence in your system. So that is the real e-business goal or the vision that organization should have. So I'll skip this one, manufacturing process. That should give you some message to you as well, right? I'll skip this as well. So you can just go through this, read through it. You can easily understand. But this is talking about manufacturing. And automation and intelligence, I want to just spend some time here as well. Now, this leadership want to automate a scale manual process. They want to use artificial intelligence and automation in their commerce and service experience to generate product and content recommendation. So as well as employees, they empower the service agent to offer cross-selling and upselling recommendation during the interaction with the customer. Now, this is really, really important. Why? If you are investing on e-commerce, that means you should be able to identify the customer's digital footprint. What is customer digital footprint? Can anyone unmute your mic and tell me what is digital footprint? What is digital footprint? What is digital footprint? I'm just watching who is unmuting their mic. Nobody is unmuting your mic. Are you all with me? What is digital footprint? I don't mind if you don't answer, but if you are still unmuted, that gives me a wrong message. I'll assume that you are not here. So what is digital footprint? Anybody? Not
So
at
it's,
least. Yes, go ahead.
so it's how the company represented the internet platforms, social media accounts, and Twitter, something like that.
Company.
Not for company, the people. Or
Okay, okay, good. Yeah, I mean, digital footprint mean wherever you go, you would have just left your information. You are logging into a computer where social media account or email or whatever that remains in there. Or you are going into some movie site and you are trying to look at certain type of movies. So then that captures your information, even with or without your knowledge. Did you notice that certain sites, it will ask you to select accept all cookies settings? Have you noticed that?
Yes, sir.
So what does it mean? Why are you accepting? You can't. If you don't accept it, it won't allow you to go to that site. Tell me, why are you accepting it? At least what is that action? What are they doing by letting you accept it? No one knows. Can't be like this
Sir,
because, yeah,
sir, my experience is sometimes if you love them, the advertisements. I mean, like they keep the information, and you will be getting similar advertisements. Like if I'm searching for a product, I will get advertisements for that product, which is they are similar. But if you in some sites they don't allow you to, if you do not accept cookies, they won't allow you to go further. But in some
correct,
sites they have.
correct. So, but I think no one has read that whatever the text coming up, right? They can't just ask you to accept it. They have to write, they have to give you the details. What are you going to accept it? It usually it says, by accepting these, you are declaring us to use your information, maintain your information for our communication with you. But that doesn't mean by storing that information, they can pass that information to someone else. That's illegal. But they are saying, okay, now if you want to visit our website and get those information, and you should allow us to keep your information, and we will use that information to update you about our product information, promotions, and all that only. Even that also you can control it. You can partly accept it, or you can go ahead and remove those details later. So this is what you are allowing the those websites to keep your information. Likewise, there are certain websites now. Now, when you go ahead and enter certain details, uh, now if you don't clear your cache or histories, then what will happen is, when you enter into certain site, they will snook into your browser and get those information. Especially LinkedIn does that, Facebook, they all do that. That's how they make money. Even Google does that. Right? They pull the information. What they used to look at is, when you visit the website, what is your preference? Whether you are looking for a beautiful item, or you are looking for a premium item, or you are looking for a cheap item, or you are a person who is interested in sports, or you are a person who is interested in adventure, or you are a person interested in some cultural values. All this profiling is done that way. So here, what we try to do, you should use certain tools like AI and machine learning tools. You got to use these to analyze the data which is coming into the e-commerce platform, and you got to generate the products and contents and recommendation, as well as you should be able to empower the agents to offer cross-selling and upselling. Now, you would have clicked on certain items which maybe you know that, but there are similar products, right? There can be a situation where when you buy certain items, there are supportive items are required. You may not be searching for those items here. You may be searching for those information somewhere else. But they know, if you, let's say, if you are searching for soap, there is a high chance that you will need Surf Excel, or you will need shampoo, you will need body wash. Likewise, related items that you can pop up. You know that this guy is coming to buy soap, mean all these related items he should be looking at. The moment you pop up certain other related items, this is what happens in the Alibaba or whatever the e-commerce platform that you walk into, you log into, you will see that, right? The suggestions and all that coming up, right? Have you all noticed that when you search for some particular items, and after that, when you log into your Gmail, then you will get pop-up, or even Facebook, you will get a pop-up in your website that say same item or similar item that you have searched for it. Have you all noticed that? How does Facebook knows? You would have logged into even you could have logged into someone else's machine when your email ID or some maybe your Gmail or whatever is logged in already, or you would have given some information, but you would have searched for certain, let's say, you would have searched for a mosquito net, right? Then when you log into Facebook, you will see that then mosquito net related advertisement popping up. How come it's possible? How does Facebook knows? This is how they are capturing the information, right? So you as a business, you should be able to build such capability in your e-business model. That way you can do upsell, cross-sell and all that, even through the platform, or even through the when the customer walk into the counter, still you should be able to, you know, that the agent should be able to see the profile immediately and they can give some suggestions, right? So likewise, you can you know that plan your customer experience journey, especially making a note on this. How do you automate the intelligence to generate the product contents recommendation and empower the service agents to offer the cross-sell and upselling is really important point when it comes to when you're planning for your customer experience journey. And then the personalization. So every customer that you treat as special. So here the company wants to introduce the personalization in their digital storefront, especially through their product search and product detail of customer experiences. And they want to enable product recommendation in these experiences and provide personalized product listing and listings to the customer. This is what I was explaining. When you search for something and you even go to Facebook, you will see the recommended books. If you are looking for some of the courses, and you will see recommended courses from, let's say now, if you are looking for Java training, just take hypothetically. And if you go to your Facebook, and you will see the various training providers promotions, 80% off, 90% off, 50% off. Have you not come across that? At least notice from today. You would see that. This is the reality. So you got to have such environment in your organization. This is what the ultimate, how do you personalize your customer journey, right? Goal alignment, of course, you can use the blueprint and you can have this discussion in order to align the goal with the business as well as IT. And the outcome, of course, so you can introduce the leadership to the customer experience life cycle and individual categories of customer experience that makes up the life cycle, and collection of capabilities that power the customer experience, and the platform enablers that provide the data and all that. So this also you can just have a look at and see. You need to guide and establish priorities for their customer experiences, and how would you do that, and what is the next step, right? So this is important for you to understand. I'm not going to talk much these things. These things you should be able to understand and answer based on the scenario that you are facing. The functional capabilities, of course, you can just have a look at what all are the functional capabilities required for e-businesses, and then the platform capabilities. Those are just for your reference only. And how would you deal when you meet the company leadership? And of course, this I told you we started with here. What system you currently use, and what are the other systems do you need to invest, etc. And yeah, I'll functional capabilities alignment, I'll just skip it through. This also I'll skip it through. Right. Leadership begin to identify solution need. Company leadership need to focus on functional capabilities and architecture. Okay, I'll skip this as well. And I'll skip this as well. Right. Now, this is important for you to understand the managerial issues, right? Managerial issues, the issues during the transformation is really, really important for anyone to understand. I don't mind even if you memorize this, because you have to know these things. You have to deal with these problematic cases, I would say. Why I'm saying problematic cases, it's always the management who resists the change. So managing the resistance to the change is really, really important. In the e-commerce, it can result in a fundamental change in how the business is being done. And resistance to change from employees, vendors, and customers, that can develop anywhere. You need to have proper education, training, and publicity over an extended time period to offer the possible solution to this problem. So customers say, no, I don't want to log into this portal or do it. I'll send a person to write it. Oh, some of the old people, they say that no, this is risky, that everything will be exposed and the competitors will see our pricing and all that, and they will come up with they will see all the products and all that. Oh no, we can't expose this information, and you will come up with a lot of stories, right? And then the integration of e-commerce into the business environment. So e-commerce need to be integrated with the rest of the business. For example, now you have an e-commerce platform, and if you can't handle the payment, if you can't handle the logistics, look at now, if you order something on eBay, how many activities that you are involving in? You pick up your phone and search for some items on eBay, and you make the payment through your credit card, and the items are delivered through DHL or UPS or whatever the courier service. And anybody involving in between? Are you going anywhere? Nothing, right? You can buy any items just being at home. So you have to have those other ecosystem to support, integrated with the rest of your business. Where you are usually when you typically buy the items, if you remember in good old days, even now certain organizations follow that. You have to go and look at the items, then go to the counter and place the order. Then that goes to the accounts department. They will raise the invoice. The counter need to sign. Then you come here, take it to the stores, give it to them. Then they will pass it to the delivery person. So it will take good amount of time to reach the item to reach your house or the office. But whereas now, if you want to buy a laptop or if you want to buy a phone, what are you doing it? Simple, right? If you want to buy a pizza, what you do? Just log in the portal, order it, pay by cash or card, and item delivered to your house. That is the sort of now. How many? Now let's say if it is pizza, they have their own transport service. You want to order some other outlets. What will happen? Order will be delivered by Pick Me or Uber sometime. So where they are coming into the picture? Or you place the order to the Pick Me or Pick Me for the Uber food. You just go ahead and select whatever you want, right? So everything happens at the back end. So they have integrated their business operation with their e-commerce platform. These integration issues involve planning, competition for corporate resources with other projects, and interface with e-commerce, with databases and existing applications and infrastructures. All are required. And lack of quality personnel and outsourcing. The very few people have expertise in e-commerce nowadays. So there are many implementation issues that require expertise, such as when to offer the social promotions on the internet, how to integrate and e-market with information systems and buy and sell, and what kind of customer incentives are appropriate under what circumstance. And this is really worthwhile outsourcing some of the e-commerce activity, because your expertise, you have expertise on that particular product. You are expert in bringing those products and product to a cheap rate and selling it to the customer with some profit margin. That's how you make money. What will happen if you end up setting up the e-commerce and managing those operations, running behind those issues and all that? You will lose your focus. So therefore, it's better to outsource those, right? Then alliances. It is not a bad idea to join an alliance or consortium to companies to explore e-commerce alliances that can be created. So some e-commerce companies like Amazon, they have thousands of alliances. The problem is which alliance to join, what kind of alliance from, and with whom is the problem, right? Amazon, are they manufacturing anything? Really, no. They just have their platform. Of course, they were building the ebooks, but everything else, they just connected. Now, today's, if you look at the Daras, right? Same story. They don't make any items. They just provide the platform. There are suppliers, there are buyers, there are people who deliver, there are people who do packing and all that. Everything happened by the third party. There are some of the other issues and challenges. You can have a look at. Some of the strategies for the market where the seller, buyers, etc. And okay, the approach, the appropriate strategy, right? You got to look at whether are there any transaction savings or benefit to be realized. So the cost, either there should be cost reduction through greater process efficiency or improved reach to the customers or reduction in the price to the buyers. Either one of these should be there. Is an electronic market for our products developing quickly. So do we have a transaction efficiencies? How sophisticated is the buyers? Is the product is friendly? And would a natural intermediary beneficial where advantage of scale in transaction processing and value of the information acquired and so on. So just read through it, not so important. 8-step for basis differentiation, just read through it. 7 dimension of e-commerce, just read through it. For technology leadership, just read through it. Right. So this is about the first session. You have to give me another 5 minutes. We'll take a small break, 5 minutes break, and continue with the rest because I have to cover another section also. So let's continue in another 5 minutes. Huh? All right. Are you okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Shall we start? Yeah, you're not speaking. Shall we start?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Good. So, looking at strategies for competitive advantage. Now, I need to just quickly cover this as well because there will be question around this area also. Because I have covered there will be question. I mean, there's going to be two questions from my section. And each question will have 3 sections. So it's going a little bit broader, I would say. So therefore, you got to understand it, not to memorize it. But certain areas that I was just, that giving more attention, that you would have observed it, there you got to look at carefully. But overall, it's good to have a good understanding to give a full answer. Right. So here, if I have to give you a background about management information systems, here the IS strategy for competitive advantage. Now, the term digital is very broad. Now, we used to wear the digital watches almost like since 1970s, right? So we have all sort of digital technologies like telephone, thermometers. These are there it's almost more than a decade, or few decades ago. So, but these are not a digital transformation. So the last couple of years, where we bombarded with the term the digital, yeah, it makes it easy for any organization to start their digital transformation journey. So just like something you might, anybody be able to understand what is this digital transformation journey is, right? You're working on this aspect of your internal organization, like implementing ERPs, CRM, or upgrading your digital marketing effort. These are typically digitalization projects. So many people, they try to, that misunderstand or try to, that there's a misconcept. Having those like core elements, the operation system as digital transformation, it's not a bad idea, even though, but it's not going to truly transform your organization. That is the real bottom truth. So you're working on a product or in a new business model, or you are working against to market competition and you want to launch something new, and you're trying to overcome with your competitors and beat the competitors and show huge difference and all that. That's where, and when you're working with a lot of innovation, the way that you deal with your customers, product and services, that is where the real digital transformation is coming to, unlike other normal day-to-day operation. Now, this session that I have planned it in such way that after this, you'll be able to have an integrated approach to strategy as a design or discovery as a basis for information system designing, and you should be able to understand the alignment between the business strategy and information strategy and organization design, and you should be able to recognize the competitive advantage that can be achieved as well as the resource for the success, and to be able to understand how strategy drive architecture, with then you drive the infrastructure become required and all that. So this I'm not going to cover the entire thing. You can just go through it and understand, but I'm trying to highlight the areas where I can give you the overall picture and have some takeaways out of this session, out of my session. This is the ultimate objective of this session, and you should be able to, that better answer your questions during the exam, because it's just 2 weeks away from exam, right? 2 weeks or 1 week. When is your exam?
14th, sir.
14. So just 2 weeks away from here. So I thought I believe you will choose this question to score more marks, because I have noticed some of the students, they have never touched on those any of my questions. Some the people who scored the highest, they have chosen my the questions, the areas that I used to teach, and as well as some students, they have scored full marks. I believe 12 marks for each question, so 12 out of 12 is majority are from these questions. So therefore, it's easy to score highest marks. This is what I believe. It's all what you have to do. You have to understand, and you have to understand during the class itself, right? So you stay focused. How many people here today? 12 people were there earlier, now 9. I'm sure a lot of people will listen to the recording as well. And end of the day, I wanted you all to, do it better. And one day you will be leaders for your organization, and you should be appreciating the learnings that you have gained through me. So, generalship is the art of the war, the management of an army or the enemies in campaign, and the art of moving or disposing troops or ships or aircrafts as to impose upon the enemy the plan and the time and the condition of fighting preferred by oneself. So that is strategy. So the strategy is mainly, it's not long term. Especially the strategy is used in a military operation. You put up a plan, you formulate a plan, and then you execute it within that particular time and achieve your goal and come back. That is what the main strategy is. So how do you moving or disposing or your trips or ships or aircraft, and then that is a strategy. So the word definition of strategy may fit well with the concept of competitive advantage or the competitive strategy. However, strategic management in business organization is deeper and more complex than this. So any dynamics in this, any nature of the organization, the strategy formulation and the business model experimentation and subsequent adoption of whatever technology or attempting to explore certain disruptive method or the innovative business model. So we talk about those depth and very specific areas when it comes to business strategy. So the organization strategy is typically management-led, and also it is informed by business model performance, where you should be able to measure the certain performances, and you will have a strategic roadmap, and there are models that you have to follow. There are success stories, there are similar cases that you have to follow. and you got to have some feedbacks from experts or the people who has already made those efforts for this business transformation. So developing the corporate strategy for a company is, there are many things get involved. There are organizational processes changes. There are many infrastructure coming in, a lot of hardware is coming in, softwares are coming in, and a lot of business consultancies and technology consultancy. A lot of exercise has to go through in order for organization to go through that business transformation. So how do we get this information system alignment? In a business process case, it becomes very clear, and the policies that need to be adjusted to ensure the re-engineering of all your effort. Why I say re-engineering? Because you were operating you are operating your business in a traditional mode or on a very specific environment. But whereas now you're moving into the new era, new world of technology. So the way that you work manually, it's entirely different when it comes to you work in a digital form. So there has to be a transformation. There has to be procedures and all that. You got to make sure that there is a proper transition for you to take. For that, you need to ensure certain quality standards. You should have appropriate vendors, suppliers, and systems in order to make those transformations and change. So in the information system, that's appropriate for, it is inappropriate for a given operating environment that can actually inhibit and confuse things, so even led to the crisis environment. So this IS department is not an island within the firm, because it has to work with the information system department. It has to work with various things. Here you have a business strategy and the technology strategy, and it has to work parallel. At the same time, in order to drive that business strategy, you need organizational infrastructures and processes to support that. And then that has to be worked in parallel, in synchronizing with information infrastructure and processes, right? The technology strategy should be aligned with the information system infrastructures and processes. So there are various domains which work in cross-functional ways. So the firm information system must be aligned with the ways that managers and employees and the processes should be aligned. So that's the message that we are trying to do. Now, here's triangle. It's talking about where is the business going and why. You have business strategy, organization strategy, and information strategy. So for that, you need this. So this is the same previous diagram that I was trying to make it in the previous triangle, right? In this information system strategy triangle, it suggests the business strategy drives all the strategies. So all these strategies, organization, information, infrastructure and services, IT, everything, it has to be driven by the business strategy. So organization and information strategy are the dependent upon the business strategies. You can't just ignore the business and go ahead and try to implement inside. So changes in any strategy requires changes in others to maintain the balance. If you're making any changes to any of those strategy, again, you have to make the changes so in order to align with the strategy. So your strategy is affected by other strategies for users, and a strategy always involving consequences. Okay. So business strategy is coordinated set of activities to fulfill the objectives, and so you start with a mission, and figure shows the example mission statement. So you have this generic strategies framework. We have cost leadership, differentiation focus, and cost focus. So this is for you to understand how the generic strategies is the business strategy, and the generic strategy is the business strategy, right? Where the strategic business and business strategies for competitive advantage, and what is this competitive advantage, and all that you got to just read it and understand those respective areas. So what competitive strategy is, what you're getting the higher profit margin than your competitor or in your marketplace, and how you actually gain the competitive advantage. That's what the competitive strategy, right? There are actually two dimensions to it. One is that the scope, another one is the the source of market. So likewise, you can go ahead and define all these how the competitive strategy and the market strategy is. So remember that the company's overall business strategy will drive all this strategy, that you understand. So you got to understand the Porter's definition in the competitive advantage that represent various business strategies that found in the marketplaces, where we looked at the cost strategy, right? The cost leadership that result in the organization which aim to produce a low cost product or the high margin. And then this can allow the organization to limit the scope to narrow segments, or you can you can get into the mass market, right? With the different groups of customers and so on. So there are actually two variants where the cost factors as well as the differentiation focus. Those are the two variants which is especially used here. To achieve this by high quality, you have to increase the cost but also you will be creating the better brand values, and this is very important when it comes to high premium products and so on. Like people like Mercedes-Benz and all, they try to maintain the high value, high brand value, but they charge the premium for that. So likewise, you can discuss about strategy, about how the company picks and which activities it engaged, and it also about how and where the management decides to manage those activities and so on. So just look at this Porter's 5 competitive force model, and value chain as well as highest resources need to gain competitive advantage, because those are the areas that you are expected to understand, right? So how do you use the information resources to influence competitive forces? This is really important for you to understand this, right? How do you manage the threat of new entrants, the new firms that may enter into the companies in the market, and the bargaining power of the buyer, bargaining power of the supplier, right? Threat of substitutes and industry competitors. So where the information systems or the information resources being used how the information resources can influence these competitive forces is what you are expected to know, right? How do you do this backward integration, right? So various vertical integration, and then how you that set your strategies with the information resources to handle these quarters five competitive forces, the potential threat of new entrants. How do you manage that using information system, right? You create a high switching cost for the customer, and you should be able to access the various distribution channels, and you can scale up your economies in terms of providing various services and value-added services and all that. So how do you manage the bargaining power of the buyers, right? You give various selections and you make switching cost high, and you put some differentiation. So how do you use information system to do that? This is what we're expected to know. Then redefine the products and services, right? So if you take banking, they have almost like they're trying to club every banking services into one bucket. So you don't need to go to various people, various branches to get your services. You should be able to just look at, select, tick, 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 and should be able to go ahead, right? Can improve price and performances like best you can. And the bargaining power of the suppliers, where you should be able to work with many suppliers. You just open, any suppliers can register and supply their items and display their items and sell it. So you bargaining. Like, look at how Uber and PickMe does. They charge almost 30-35% from their product. Even if you buy a bath bucket, you will end up paying almost 30-35%. You will pay something, but even the merchant also will pay something. The hotel also pay something. But end of the day, they make almost 30-35%. If the customer is ordering for about 10,000 rupees, they will have a profit of 3,000 rupees. That's how they make money, right? So you enable more suppliers. Then if that particular item is available with one supplier, then of course he fixes the price. The same product is available with 10 suppliers, of course, the buyer has a choice now, right? Then the threat of backward integration, and next is the industry competitors, where you got to bring in the cost effectiveness and market access, differentiation of products and services. So these are important for you to understand in terms of value chain model. You can have a look at these examples aligned with the Porter's by model. The resources to sustain competitive advantage. So you got to understand where it is fit into. So when organizations invest into systems, and then going to give the competitive advantage, it does not automatically mean that you can sustain it over long term. So you need to continue to innovate and protect against resource limitation and substitutes and so on. So, so it all depends on how you, how you try to put those items here. How do you map the information system along with this Porter's model? Sorry. Amelie. I mean, talking about this Porter's model focusing on creating competitive advantage, and also this hyper competition model, also important for you to know certain things like vision for distribution and the capabilities of disruptions and techniques for disruptions. So these are the areas that you should be focusing on, and how you engage, how you improve your service qualities and engagement and maximize the profit and all that in the rapidly changing environment in the marketplace. So just have a look at those. I also want to show some of the areas where the Schumpeter's constructive destruction theory. He introduced this theory in 1909. Actually, he was a lot of his works were in early 90s. But today, it has been proven that nobody has taken this since last 60, 70 years. But today it has been proven that what he was trying to introduce, like innovation, is introduction of new goods, introduction of new digital products and digital services and technology, where you have to introduce new methods of productions, right? And where you're digitizing the production process and knowledge-based goods and customer orientation, right? How you open new markets and coordination, where conquest of new supply sources, right? And entrepreneurship, recognition of the firm risk-taking strategies and profit orientation. So these are the theories now being implemented by many organizations, especially the startups and high performance organization, to achieve success. So these are the areas that you should be focusing on, and see where you can map. Now I mentioned about this this is the hyper competition model as well as the Porter's model, how this can be mapped into transformation journey or the involvement of information system. So how you map those information systems into those model is mainly I'm going to test it, right? So these are some of the other areas that I want you all to just have a look at. And the water strategy, how you achieve the competitive advantage through cost leadership, differentiation, focus. But you should be able to explain those, right? So we were learning about these things, understanding strategies, tools, and from particular and all that. Okay. Building social strategy. No need to spend more time, just read through it. But these terms, some of the examples that you will be using it during when you should have understanding about these in order to answer those questions, right? Don't take it so heavily. It's once you read it once, twice, that you should be able to understand it better, right? No need to spend much time here. I'll be sending you the PPT right away, right? So just go through that. Right. So just go through this. I'm not going to test your knowledge on this, but you should have an overall understanding, because you're going to just read it through, right? It's fine, right? That's all I want to cover during the session, evaluation. So just go through it. What all are the changes we just gone through? Primary role of IT in 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2010, plus how we have been evolving, right? Dominant technologies, the basis of values, underlying economies, right? Okay, that's all I want to cover for mainly I want to touch about to prepare yourself. Just go through this. But since I didn't spend much time, don't think that you don't need to know about these things. But I would be expecting you all to have an understanding while you are answering. All right? All the best for the exam. I'll be sending the notes shortly. And also I'll upload the recording.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any question? Any question? Nobody asked any question.
So can you share the both PPTs?
Yes,
Previous
I'll
one
share
also?
both. I'll share both right away.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. The best.